absolutely fascinating to me that I can make something out of this material that is one of the strongest materials known to man. We make cars and trains and ships all out of this thing called steel. And I can take this material and make it look almost weightless.
In 1989, in the village of Crawford Bay, British Columbia, 15-year-old Paul Reimer would begin an apprenticeship with blacksmith John Smith.
It wasn't really anything official until he started to notice that I had some potential, and then he started to groom me.
Reimer would spend the next 5 years under the tutelage of Smith, who not only taught him about blacksmithing, but also about business.
He really focused on craftsmanship and design. He would say to me, "That's really well made, but if it doesn't look nice, no one wants to buy it. You have to make something beautiful here. And if it's not beautiful, and if it doesn't fit the environment in which it sits, nobody's going to want to buy it."
In 1994, Reimer would become the head blacksmith at Fort Steele Heritage Town, where he would produce unique souvenirs for the site's many visitors.
It worked out really well because they would watch me make something and feel a connection to the process, and then for them to be able to walk away with it and take it home was kind of the ultimate souvenir.
Fernie, BC real estate developer Mike Delich would soon discover Reimer and hire him to produce ironwork for his high-end condo developments.
Initially, I heard about this blacksmith who was working at Fort Steele. When I went to meet him, I discovered that there was a very unique individual with very special skills that was able to create these authentic, timeless, enduring pieces of metal.
We were doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in sales, and so we were just rolling along. It was fantastic. And my wife and I went away to Europe over Christmas and New Year's, and we came back and we got the shop going, and we were running for about a week, and we had lots of orders and lots of work to do, and then all of a sudden the big general manager called us all in for a meeting, and he said, "I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're all laid off. We have no money." So now here I've been a blacksmith for about 12 years at this point, and I'm completely laid off. And I had no skills at all outside of blacksmithing.
We had only been married for a couple of years, and I think at that point I learned something about Paul that was really important to me and significant to me, and that was he refused to stop trying.
Reimer's career as a blacksmith appeared to be over. That is until one phone call would change everything.
And it was Mike Delich. And he says to me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, you know, the Fort Steele." He says, "Yeah, I heard about Fort Steele." And he says, "Well, are you going to get a shop going?" And I'm like, "I don't have any customers, like they're all with Fort Steele. I don't have any tools. I don't have anything." And he says, "Well, here's what's happening. I'm building another ski in, ski out condo, and I want your ironwork in it. And I figure there's about $100,000 worth of work in this building. So if I gave you 50% down up front, do you think you could find some tools and find a shop and get yourself set up and start being a blacksmith again?" And I went, You would do that?
I come from a ski racing background, and when you have young athletes that have got a talent and they've got the discipline and they're eager to do well, and if you can encourage and help them to perform, they rise to the highest levels. And I I took that approach with Paul and I said, yep, this guy can do it.
He says, your product helps sell my buildings. People love it. It fits in perfectly with our aesthetic. It fits perfectly with our design. And I'll give you the 50 grand up front. And I went, yeah, pretty sure, pretty sure we can get going. And so he sent me a check for $50,000, just on pure faith.
After finding a shop and receiving a generous donation of tools from a friend, Reimer was back in business. In 2009, after several busy years producing work for high-end houses, the subprime mortgage crisis would hit, and Reimer's belief in himself and his unique skill set would once again be put to the test.
It was this close. Like, it was so scary. And there was times where we were right up against the wall. When you're self-employed, you have nothing to fall back on. And you're now doing a trade that is essentially dead, you gotta have faith. Because it's not gonna be easy.
Many times I've thought to myself, like, just go to a gas station and get a job, and then we can at least have a regular paycheck. And then talking it through, we both realized that that could happen and we would have more financial security, but his heart wouldn't be in it. And I wouldn't be content knowing that he wasn't content.
In an effort to diversify his business, Reimer would team up with artist Michael Heffer to create a series of book sculptures for the Cranbrook Public Library. The popularity of the books would turn the page on the new chapter for Reimer.
I went, wouldn't it be fantastic if I could use public art to build community, to bring people closer together?
The tree represents community, the life of community, the spirit of community. We've been sleeping with this elephant, which is First Nations issues. And we don't want to talk about it, we don't know how to talk about it, we don't even know where to begin. And so this is just, it came out of the expression and the desire to try to do something positive.
He has certainly followed his passion for the artistic side, not just the functional side of blacksmithing. His heart is in creating something that he can leave for the public to enjoy.
He's had a huge influence on artwork in our community, and he's an inspiration for upcoming artists.
Now, 18 years after the phone call that would change his life, Reimer is as busy as ever. He continues to produce public art for communities all over Western Canada, is a regular contributor to the Canada House Gallery, one of the country's premier art galleries, and is still doing work for Delitzsch.
I'm really happy that I was able to help somebody in their, get their career off the ground. I think he's a very valuable artist and community asset in our region of British Columbia.
Through everything that I've been through, the lesson has got to be, you have to believe. If you don't believe, it won't happen. But other people have to have faith in you as well. That is what happened to me over and over and over again. It wasn't just that I believed in myself. It's someone else had the faith in me as well.